Wow, wow, wow. Oh, hey there, hey there, hey there. Alright, now. Today we're gonna go over. Oh, wait. Hey, are we on? Wait, are we on right now? Sorry about that. Anyway. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Alright, now. Alright. Alright, now. Coming down from the rafters to your house. She's always groovy, never cheesy. You won't get this from a chip. That's right. It's time for the Indumati Super Show. All right, now let's start with the lore reading for today. We're gonna start with Indumati Eveningnights backstory, right? Yeah. Once there was a girl born of a queen of a clan of bat-like fairies known as Arcs, who once held the power of the twilight in their hands, and a human who was a former soldier who turned artist, whom the queen married after caring for him after finding him injured and abandoned by the leaders he had been called to serve. The girl was born, the name of their child shared in secret, and she had gray wings like a bat back then. They were happy together briefly, forever. They were happy briefly together, but Lumina Knight, the Queen's advisor, who had been recovered and rescued from being missing in action for 20 years back during the war. Backstory in the lore, it's basically the multiverse war. It, heavily influenced by the corrupt Celestials as well as protagonism, and some of the things that were caused by fairyland. It's caused by the realm of fairyland itself, and it kind of became a whole big deal that basically as a big massive conflict that basically drew in the entire universe basically. That's kind of why a lot of the worlds were separated, yeah. Because of it, yeah. And, only connected now by the world canvases, yeah. And that's kind of a recent thing, yeah. The world's got a long history, yeah. Anyway, back to the backstory. Alright now, and Luminite was basically held captive. She was basically captured and tortured badly while being held captive, and was still angry and bitter, mad, and disliked the child. Hold on for just a minute. My nose. Sorry about that. Alright now. Now, after all, even though the Queen's husband was not on the side of the people who tormented, Luminite Knight, Luminite hated him in the Queen's union and considered a child a mudblood, a term by Fairyland's extremist factions to refer to children born of fairies and humans, which is used in a derogatory way because such children were weak, powerless, and in old times before Titania ended the war, to call them inferior. And not only that, Illuminate had gathered people to rebel against the Queen of Arcs because of the union and the marriage, and tried to take over the nation before Illuminate was captured and their followers captured and hunted. However, Luminite, deep in the prison on the edge of the massive dreary desert where she was being sentenced to death for treason, saw the light of the red moon that night. You see, there was an ancient evil, the ruler of great evils, who once terrorized the universe back in a dark age before that terrible ruler was captured and sealed in the blood moon. Yeah, this is referencing Lilith, by the way. She's kind of the major, big bad final boss of the lore, yeah. And it's lingering limited spirits, lingering will basically, lingered in the cursed light and called out to Lumina Knight and offered Lumina Knight the power of the true art of fear. Yeah, by the way, Lilith's big thing is being the great evil of fear. Yeah. And there's all big, also, do have lore basically on that, related to the great evils, yeah. Which I might get to later, yeah. Maybe, if you guys are interested. Alright, now, let me just check to see who's on. Hey, it's an indie. It's a loveliest. No, I am not a brat, and I am not a Rito, and, technically speaking, I am in the Palace of the Moon. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing, okay? As the Silver Castle that, freaking, lovely Labyrinth lives in. What are you talking about? Alright, however, alright now, let's see, where was I again? Sorry about all that. You know, I was crashing out just a little bit, yeah, and I kind of lost my place a little bit. Alright now, alright, the true art of fear. And if you know, Illuminate would do two things for Lilith, of course. First was to destroy the arcs, which, you know, the reason, you know, Lilith, you know, wanted the destruction of the arcs is because the Bear of Moonlight was being born there, which, you know, she was kind of afraid of because, you know, basically, you know, that was basically the method that was basically developed, you know, over a long time to basically, you know, destroy her, basically. And also, the second thing was to, you know, basically go across the universe, cause a whole bunch of chaos, and look for the keys to, you know, unlock Lilith's seal that, you know, was imprisoning her inside of the Red Moon. Yeah. Which you know, each of the key would be scattered across the entire universe. And basically, Illuminate was basically, you know, given the mission to basically get it by any means necessary. Alright now, and you know, Illuminate did accept this, of course, because that's how the story goes. And the power of darkness came to possess her, and she gained a terrible power, fear, by which, on the night of her execution, she used to kill her would-be executioners and escape, and cause a massive riot in prison by releasing all the prisoners and, you know, conquering the prison, and using the prisoners as her first followers for a new order, which she called Red Moon. And together they raided the kingdom of the Arcs, the Bat Fairies of the Twilight, and then unleashed hell on, you know, Earth Eye over there. Well, really on the fairy tale reality, you know, mostly in the kingdom of the Arcs, by the way. With the queen and her child needing to flee into a secret chamber leading to a portal to the moon that very few knew about. Yeah, Illuminate didn't know about this until, you know, during her raid. And Indumati's dad, he left himself behind to face Illuminate as she was advancing through the castle and used a grenade to sacrifice himself to prevent Illuminate from pursuing his wife and child. Alright now. On the moon, Indumati and her mother found the ruins of an ancient civilization where the Palace of Dreams stood, which housed the Guardian of Dreams. You know, that's Luna. She's my mentor, and, you know, she appears as a Luna Moth of Light, by the way, and also she's like an eldritch entity that, you know, is a little too powerful to appear in anything, you know, besides, you know, daydreams and dreams, basically. You know, because she basically, you know, causes a massive breakdown in reality every time she tries to enter reality, yeah. A being that appeared to be a Luna Moth of Light and was a servant of the goddess of creation, Luna decided to help them both by raising Indumati to be a hero and awakening Indumati's true art, the true art of the moon, and training her with the queen of fairies, and also an old hero spirit from the Tulpa War, which is basically Gray the Wizard. Yeah, that's a very different backstory. Which was an ancient war before the Age of the... Yeah, you know, actually, I'm gonna have to correct this. You know, it's after the Age of the Gods, yeah, came about, and that is how you... Yeah, Gray, you know, came from, you know, after, you know, the Age of the Gods, basically, yeah. I kind of said it was before here, so that's my fault. And that is how and why Amati Eveningnight became hero, because she wanted to prevent similar tragedies such as the massacre of the Arcs. Because of the true art of the moon, her bat-like features and hair became white and silver, and her name was hidden from the Akashic records by Luna so none could control her via her true name. Yeah, there is true name magic, by the way. That's why you shouldn't give fairies your name, by the way. Of course, if you guys are already subscribed to me, you guys have already given me your name. And then she tries to visit the corrupt Pebbles world and nearly dies becoming allergic to world due to how it's filled with positivity is. I mean, true, Illuminate, you know, is very allergic to, you know, positivity. That's kind of one of, you know, Illuminate's weaknesses, besides, you know, courage. Yeah, there's very much a, you know, very much a courage, you know, versus fear thing, as well as a dreams versus fear thing, you know, going on with the lore, basically, yeah. You know, in regards, you know, both Illuminate and, you know, Lilith, as well as Indumati and, you know, Dreams. Yeah, which Dreams is a superhero team that, you know, Indumati came to build basically later. Alright now. Indumati's true name was hidden from the was, basically censored out of the Akashic record. So by Luna, so none could control Indumati by her true name, and so she could use her. And as for how she could use her power, and also, to and also and how and as for oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied here. And that's how Indumati can use her power despite her half human status is because human power is sealed long ago by the goddess creation due to being in a corrupted state. Yeah, that's kind of related to the Box of Evils incident, which is related to the Muse of Darkness. Yeah, basically the Box of Evils, contained the great evils, which were basically, the big bad servants of Lilith. Yeah, there's like 9 of them. And and basically in the Muse of Darkness, she was like a celestial servant that kind of betrayed the goddess of creation and, basically tricked humanity into opening the Box of Evils, claiming it was a divine gift, but she wanted the great evils to basically be unleashed and kind of poison human psyche. And that's kind of why, that's why telepomancy would get sealed until, at the end of the Age of the Gods, where, it would, it get sealed again because, the power was too great, even though the power of the great evils was basically, contained, by the seal of Arachne, which is, the first of the Dark Lords. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into the Dark Lords later. Yeah, although I should probably, the Dark Lords, kind of goes into kind of a little bit of the origin. I might go over to Tulpa War, eventually. I still have to make that kind of lore, yeah. So, yeah. Alright, now, yeah. Yeah, so basically that's kind of why, human power is basically sealed, even though, human power is actually, intensely powerful in the lore, yeah. Because, humans are basically multi-talented and, basically Tulpas are basically their children and all that, which were, basically made from imagination. That was given flesh and, basically fairies like, Indumati's mom were basically, descendants of, the original Tulpas that were, basically made as fairies, a long time ago, yeah. So that's why. Yeah, and the corruption was purified from Indumati's heart by an internal battle in a realm of dreams and awakened with ancient power with the blessing that could bring about the end of the great evils in their queen Lilith. Yeah, that's the true art of the moon that I mentioned. Yeah. For in a small way, Indumati was born of dreams and ideals of mortals who had long screamed into what they thought was the void to save them and free them from the horrors of evil, long ancient that had brought forth evil, as well as basically being kind of formed from the dreams and hopes and tropes and ideals of humans, basically, yeah. That's kind of what formed Indumati, yeah, and as well as those screams and unheard prayers into the void, and that is how she formed it. She was, and that's how she was formed from a yeah, and that is how she was formed from a descendant of Tulpas and a child of humanity. And of course, later on she would go on to establish dreams. Basically calling basically traveling around the universe. Traveling through the universe through different realities. Connected to the shadows of the world canvases. And finding heroes and villains all across time and space. And would obviously form dreams, obviously, unite against the evils of Lumina Night, since Lumina Night and Red Moon, they're Lumina Night, heading Red Moon, Red Moon's, kind of an interdimensional terror organization that, causes a lot of trouble throughout the universe, basically, yeah. Yeah, and all the realities of Earth, yeah. So, yeah. In a crossover universe, Garden, pronounced Garden, is kind of Prime Earth equivalents of dreams, obviously. One of the lead figures is the Archangel Advent Silent Noah. Oh, nice. I like that, Yenny. I like that a lot. Alright, now, whoa, yeah. Alright, now, hold on for just a minute while I, whoa. Alright, alright, now, hopefully no prawn on the front page. It's DeviantArt. Yeah, you gotta expect that. I'm sorry about that, by the way. Hopefully I don't get banned by Twitch for, anything, too risque that, showed up for that brief moment. Alright now. Ooh, alright now. All right, now let me try searching for the great evils real quick. Great evils. All right, now they've got to be around here somewhere. All right, now for enemies of humanity, that's not it. All right, shit, where are they? Where are they? Ah, here they are. All right, now hold on. Ow, my leg is asleep. Oh, come on, out of my way, please. All right, everything out of my way, please. Get all this junk out of my way. All right. Just hold on for just a minute. All right, we might be slightly off center on the camera, so I might, be frozen right now. Right now, just let me. Oh, we're still live. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I'm on a quest cooking, hunting exotic foods for the Lamia Queen's party. Is a kraken safe to eat? Yeah, according to campfire cooking, krakens are indeed safe to eat. Yeah, and thank you for the 1 bit. I appreciate that. All right now, and all right, Silent Noel being the one of the few remaining folks who originated from the first post chattering. That's Lord Viennese. By the way, thank you for the 1 bit. Vexus, but I appreciate that. Yeah, and kraken is very safe to eat. Yeah. It's basically just like, basically supersized calamari, basically, yeah. In fact, that's what, tentacle monsters, end up being in the lore, yeah. You end up getting turned into calamari. Alright, now, shall I go for the great evils? Alright, this is gonna be pretty long because there's like 14 of them. I'm not gonna lie. Now, hold on for just a minute. Alright, hold on for just a minute. Alright, my throat is getting a little bit scratchy, so I'm sorry about that. Frickin' winter. Frickin' winter. Alright, sorry about all that. I'm here for Cool Ranch and Dorito bread and fried chicken because I saw the fire chicken is here too. Hey, I am not a Dorito. That is fake. That is false information. I am not a Dorito. That is false information. Don't believe the skeleton. He's telling lies from Wait, skeletons don't have eyes. Wait, phone swordsman. How do skeletons work again? Hey, how do you guys see, by the way? All right. Wasn't your explanation like skeletonesis or something? Whoops. Oops, I'm sorry about that. Alright, now, let's start with the Great Evils. Alright, Entity 0 is called Yaldabaoth, and it's basically the Great... It's basically the Great Evil of idolatry. Alright, now, hopefully I don't press the wrong button by mistake. Alright, this creature is a shadowy evil counterpart of the goddess of creation and appears as a divine being that resembles an amalgam of, humanity's various gods fused together into one and, crowned in a bloody halo. It was created by Lilith, the leader, 9 great evils as their general, and was made from Earthar's blind devotion and fanaticism in the name of various gods and causes, and the corruption that many of them would be led to, and all the horrors and atrocities that, followed, and how corrupted of any kind, such as greed and preaching hatred, and protecting evil while punishing the innocent under the house of such things, or calling for the takeover and insurrection of or against the state and the world itself, can morph them in their once noble dogma into something ugly. And how it can over time, as it becomes tradition, as it becomes values it preaches from distortion of them, while what they meant falls by the wayside, and how it leads its followers to be just as cruel and intolerant and selfish, and how that spreads across the world and infects all aspects of the world until it reaches the highest of highs and enforces the lowest of lows, all while preaching things such as love and justice and values and truth and success, or any of the other things you can think of. It pretends to wear Alright, now, Yaldabaoth himself, it pretends to wear the face of, all the gods and idols of the known universe, and claims to be them, even believes it is each and every, and it even believes it is them each and every time, because it believes it's, the greater, god of the universe and he believes he created the universe, yeah, basically. And it believes that it is some cosmic force that rules through all of the all the gods and idols that people have made, and leads its followers to evil while believing itself to be following what is good and just according to even Yaldabaoth's own delusions. It believes it is the true creator of the world and often claims to be whatever god in the physical world is popular at any given point or time in history. Right now. In battle, it rambles about judgment towards sinners and attempts to judge people for each classical sin as it sees it in its own eyes. And one of its moves is Dark Testament, which flips through a corrupted holy book and deals out a curse while raining down wicked fire bolts from the sky, dealing fire, light, and dark damage and inflicting silence. It also uses Chaos Judgment, which it fires a giant golden gun. While it talks about the judgment of sin and the coming judgment of the world before firing a shot that, if not blocked, deals instant death, and if blocked, reduces the HP of, a target to 1, and single target, light and dark. And its mystic art is, Cruel Thesis, which is an Evangelion reference, which it uses the power of false martyrdom through the delusion to inflict, dark, light, and electric damage. Alright, yeah. Alright, now, and skeletonpathic powers and skeletomancy. Yes, you sound like, kind of the people who made Kingdoms of the Dump, yeah. They did, similar things, but, to explain, a lot of the powers in that world. Yeah, including laundromancy, yeah. Especially, yeah. Alright, whoa. Alright now. Yeah, where's... Alright, now it's lagging a little bit. Alright, now, entity number 1, which is, the first great evil. Yes, I know Yaldabaoth is technically first, but, it's called, entity 0, but, I think it's, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be entity O, because, the O stands for origin. Oh, excuse me. Alright, the first great evil is, Morningstar. It's basically the great evil of arrogance and entitlement. Alright, you might be familiar with the name Morningstar because, because this guy is, very heavily inspired by Christianity. This creature resembles Urthar's legend of the Tempter and the Evil One of various religions, and resembles things like a tree, a goat, a sun, like a tree mixed with a goat and an angel and a sun and a Karen haircut and a snake. It is created from Lilith, from the hubris of men, especially that leads to them seeing others as less than oneself, and the lust for power and authority and influence that it uses to dominate and control others against their will, while making anyone that oppose them or as they see it any way or any enemy. Oh wait, come on now. Please stop getting tongue-tied. Alright, yeah. And the lust for power and authority and influence that it uses to dominate and control others against their will, while making anyone who opposes them or they see as in their way or in enemies something to be despised and hated, and to feel afraid and trapped, simply to assert the right to treat others as a punching bag or slave or cog or boot, or cog in the machine or boot. Oh, whoa. Hey, that's not what I... Hey, go back. Sorry about that, I pressed the wrong button. Alright, now, where was I? I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Alright, now, a cog on a machine or boots on the ground for various twisted ambitions that humanity pretends and convinces others makes them the heroes. Its mystic arc is temptation into the holy, which, poisons all enemies by using a sweet-tasting poison. Referencing, the apple of the tree of the Garden of Eden. The knowledge of good and evil and all that. Which causes confusion and fear and deals dark and poison element damage, and uses the dark whispers of temptation to lead people into cruelty and depravity. Alright, yeah. Alright, so what do you guys think about this so far? I deeply apologize for all that. Or, Alright, now, whoop. Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is it not up right now? Oh, whoa, whoa. Alright, come on now. Where are you in mint? No, 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 no. I am not cute. I am not cute. That's false information. Alright now. I'm taking a Manica arm. Alright, making a Manica arm. No, nice. I wish I was as creative as you. Oh, well, I'm sure everybody, basically, in the world of, Earth Eye, basically everybody, has the potential of true arts inside of them, yeah. So I believe you guys can be creative too if you really want to. Granted, of course, you do need to practice a lot, My writing used to be pretty trash, but, I'm kind of working on it still, yeah. So, alright now. Let's go on to Entity 2, shall we? Alright now, Schumann-Fraud, the great evil of obsession and lust. Alright now. This creature resembles flames, a giant rose, a succubus, and a cupid that is draped in chains. It was created by Lilith using the knowledge of Earth Eye's evil, namely humanity's pleasure in inflicting pain on each other in the name of fun and pleasure, or in the name of personal gain and profit, or in the name of believing it's justified for whatever reason, for beings justified under righteous causes, to hatred spoken with pride to the oppressed, to bullying because of difference, because difference makes someone seen as inferior, or every twisted fantasy to enslave the innocent in dark corners of the world, to turn pleasure into profit, and make people slaves to serve, endorse, and enforce and intox. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Serve, endorse, enforce, and partake in it. It carries a massive width with it that splits into 9 flaming chains, laced with intoxicating poisons of twisted pleasure. While using its mystic art, sadistic pleasure, it inflicts dark fire and wood element damage and conflict obsession, which makes the target obsess over the evil entity, taking blows for them and making them attack its own allies. Well, should they attack it? Yeah, it's kind of a mechanic that's kind of similar to the goddess from Final Fantasy VI, which some of you might know as Final Fantasy III. That's kind of how it was first introduced. But it's actually Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, basically the goddess has a mechanic where, basically they can inflict charm on somebody and, it can make them, take blows for the goddess as well as, attack their own allies. So it's kind of similar to that, yeah. It's like India it's like India as opposed to good business practices. Hey, whoa, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? No. I am not. No. I am not like Schumann-Fraud. I am not like Schumann-Fraud. And I am not a succubus. No. Guys, I am not a succubus. That sounds a bit like me. Now, Foam Swordsman, I think you might like the Great Evils, ironically, yeah. Alright, you might like the Great Evils as well as, the Celestials, but I don't think the Celestials would, I don't think the evil Celestials of, the reverse tarot would, much like, skeletons, because they're more of, anti-human, anti-tulpa, celestial supremacist, and, those guys are not nice to basically anything other than themselves. Basically, they're Karens. And you definitely know what it's like to deal with Karen customers. I know you do. Alright, let's get on to Entity 3, Nimrod, which is the Great Evil of Ignorance. Alright, now, everybody cue your anti-vaxxer jokes, and everybody cue your anti-vaxxer and flat earther jokes. Yes, because, obviously, the Great Evil of Ignorance is gonna be describing something like that. Alright, this entity resembles the tower and a mighty hunter, as on top that resembles Hunter, fused with what looks like a great military leader and philosopher. Yet under closer inspection, its foot is on the earth, and, there's a dunce camp on it. And the tower is a cage and prison for all the ignorance of Earth Art's reality, that Lilith imparted into its creation when she made it. It spawned from willful ignorance and it spawned from the willful ignorance and blind delusions of mankind, as well as the rejection of knowledge and torpor and thoughtfulness and learning, especially in the face of people who are suffering due to the power it comes It comes to hold over to people. After all, willful ignorance and willful delusion, when stubbornly, foolishly, and arrogantly asserted as right, regardless becomes dogma and fast policy. You might be familiar with Brainworm Guy, Alright, now, I promise I won't bring up politics too much. I'm sorry. I couldn't help thinking of that. I'm sorry. I apologize. Alright, now, this entity takes away and degrades advance that does much good in the world, and because of it, it brings so much suffering. Think about it. Each conspiracy, each bit of misinformation about the sciences, about medicine, about history, about right and wrong, they suddenly are denied because such things and such people take away their own liberty and tear down their own safety, rights, and knowledge over it. Its mystic art is false elimination. Yeah. Which deals light elemental damage and can inflict stupefy, which, disables all the heroes' use of true arts and items, using the wicked eye that blinds all to lead them astray with the rejection of knowledge and understanding. Alright, now. Alright, come on. Now I'm saying their business practices sound a lot like me because I run a business like that. That's not a matter of fact. That's how I want my business run. I don't even have blood, and all my vaccines are up to date. Wait, Phone Swordsman, why does a skeleton need vaccines? Don't you guys, heal off of poison? Pretty sure skeletons heal off of poison, don't they? Well, maybe except in that one anime where, there was this guy that, could inflict side effects to literally anything, including inflicting poison on skeletons, so, who knows what the rules even are anymore. Yeah, but there's weird things going around, and I don't want to risk it. Alright now. Don't forget to circle, dot, to get that cootie shot. Yeah, the cooties are, super duper dangerous. For there's anti-vaxxers. Yeah, Nimrod, Nimrod, as I described him, yeah, they're part of the reason I made them is because of anti-vaxxers, okay? Yeah, frickin' JFK Jr. Alright. Alright, now, whoop. Alright, now. Yeah, and of course Nimrod is basically based on, the biblical Nimrod as well as, the Tower of Babel, yeah. Yeah, which incidentally was used to, express ignorance in Cassette Beast, yeah. It's kind of heavily inspired by Cassette Beast. Yeah, in fact, all these guys are, basically, inspired by Cassette Beast. Well, that and, the 22, Reverse Arcana monsters. Alright, now let's go over into D4 real quick. Alright, just let me, rest real quick. This entity resembles a mass of thorns forged into a crown with an eye in the center and oozing with a swirl of poisonous water, as well as hidden snakes making up the main body together. In the center of it all is a giant head that is a scarred crocodile with 6 eyes. I'm pretty sure I changed this up a little bit, forgot to, take some things out. Yeah, basically the giant eye in the center is not supposed to be there anymore. Yeah, it's supposed to have the, giant head of the scarred crocodile with 6 eyes there. Sorry, I forgot to change that. It was created by Lilith using the envious and jealous feelings of Earth's reality, especially wanting to tear down others and take advantage, or to take advantage of others because one deserves more than others and wants the limelight only on themselves, and thus leading them to a cycle of resentment and mistreatment. Every broken friendship, every destroyed career, every resentment over someone else having more or having success with what they do, every bit of mud slung at somebody who got voted in office when they didn't, that led to bloodshed and tyranny and extremism, every ideology that competed against each other and thought each other evil for succeeding or being different. Yep, this evil entity bred all that resentment, bitterness, and hostility and pain to breed contempt and push people towards violence. Its mystic art, is rid of bitterness, which, alright now. Which attacks with water, poison, and wood element damage, and inflicts poison and also causes thorns. which will damage the character inflicted with each time they act by using the thorns of bitterness and hostility that are often present in the minds of mortals. All right now. Hey, come on now. That man ain't fit the manage Wendy's. I don't like it. I agree. Yeah. My favorite gaming event is Sock on these nuts. Oh yeah, I think I might have said. All right now. You know my whole business model is violence, right? Fun violence between friends. Yeah. You be careful, phone. These guys are much greater evils than you. That these guys are much greater evils than you are. Yeah. So be careful with that. Yeah. In fact, we're about to go over the great evil of greed and avarice next. Yeah, we call it mammon, which, obviously it's named after the biblical mammon. Even though, technically speaking, the verse in that Bible that, references mammon is more talking about greed and self-interest. And how you can't, serve greed and self-interest and God. But, people change it to a demon because because the rich people were, super mad about that. Anyway, enough about that. Sorry about that, I shouldn't bring that up. Alright, now, this entity resembles a beak-nosed miser that rides atop a golden floating pyramid-like structure, symbolizing its power over the world and its people through the all-consuming darkness unleashed by greed. The miser itself is covered in lordly robes and has a monstrous red-clawed golden light that is made of distorted amalgamate of distorted treasures and gold that is, covered in the many faces who exploited and were exploited themselves in the name of profit and power obtained through, ill-gotten means, and all the ideas chained to it are gilded in gold, but also rotting and this creature has a golden crown on it, like a king on its head. Alright now. It was made by Lilith using the darkness of the outer reality of, Earthar. Yeah, by the way, I will explain Earthar, probably soon. Yeah, basically, Earthar is kind of a different reality it is a kind of different universe altogether to Earth-I. And, basically in that reality, Earth-I is basically living art. Yeah, and it was basically made by the creator, which was kind of an average person over there. Yeah, the goddess of creation is basically their avatar, yeah. Yeah, in case you're wondering about that. Yeah, basically, and you're gonna get into, what created the great evils. It's kind of related to his, younger brother. Yeah, it's kind of a jackass. At least I Indumati think he's a jackass. After I heard about him. Anyway. Alright, Mammon was made by Lilith using the darkness of the outer reality of Earthar, namely unchecked greed and exploitation in the name of profit and power that crushes the vulnerable, the poor, the sick, under its uncaring heel as they suffer in their blood drive for every nickel and dime. It represents how greed dominates all life through those with too much power. Every black company that exploits and works its workers to the bone, every slave in every sweatshop made to save a bit of money at the expense of of those working in them. Every cracked rip on a poor forced laborer's back to get that money. Oh, Mammon convinces them all to treat human life as property and disposable cogs in a machine, and convinces people to broker deals to keep it going. To keep it going with those in power and to run even things that are meant for education and health and every vital service for profit, while convincing them to abandon, neglect, and take away the benefits of those with less advantage. After all, they are a burden and are parasites under its regime and its bottom line. Well, yeah, that might get that last line is a little bit dark. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that's basically greed in the real world, and I think I kind of hit a little too hard there. Alright, Mammon's mystic art is Bubble Crash, which inflicts metal and darkness damage as an AoE to all enemies and depletes their MP to 0, while giving all to Mammon using the power of greed as a system. Using the fact that greed as a system will eventually burst and collapse and ruin all, which is Mammon's end goal for all under him. Alright now. Mammon, the god of unpaid intern. Yeah. Yeah, that's also part of what he does, yeah. Yeah, and Dark Shovel, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Butcher is my cousin. Are you sure you're related to the Butcher? Uh-oh. And Dark Shovel. Dark Shovel and the you're related to the Butcher and Dark Shovel? Ooh, that must be a pretty toxic family dynamic. I mean, the Butcher is literally a serial killer, and Dark Shovel is basically the greediest, Amazon like slash, game dev ever. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I made Dark Shovel specifically, because I wanted to make him into like an evil greedy, game company CEO. Yeah, basically, yeah. And he sounds like someone. Alright, now, Mammon sounds like someone you get along with so well. Either that or they sound like me or someone I'd be great friends with. That's just a great guy, what? I mean, it's obvious for all brothers. Sure. Alright, sure, foam. I believe you. I definitely 100% believe you, okay? I 100% believe you, okay? Alright, now let's go on to entity number 6. Alright, Samuel, the great evil of hatred and violence. Alright, hatred, violence, cruelty, all those, wonderful fun stuff. But, it's definitely not horrifying at all. Alright, this entity resembles a biomechanical humanoid with a demon face that's carrying a whip and, having a barbed wire for a halo fused with an amalgamate of various war. And, this guy is, fused with an amalgamate of various war machines. And has red colored bloodstained hands and feet and has sharp teeth. They're basically, like a shark. Now, wears an outfit reminiscent of various dictators in Earth's reality from across the outer darkness that was given flesh and form by power by Lilith, using humanity's wrath and hatred and cruel, abusive tendencies, especially towards the weak and towards those that they deem their enemy or as wrongdoers, or things that they can enslave and exploit for their own gain. And was spawned by every war and every act of cruelty and malice, and every malice justified because of ideology or difference, or to take and plunder, or every lie used for tactical evil to justify and convince the people they're heroes for doing it and doing what is right, as they slaughter and steal and conquer and commit heinous acts of evil. Yeah, also genocide. Whoa, no. Hey, stay on topic now. Alright now. Its Mystic Art is Violent Impact Cannon, which, fires off metal and fire element rounds that burn Earth with deadly nuclear hellfire explosions, which also launch a giant rockets up in the air that come down a couple turns later to do big damage to one target. Actually, I'm gonna change that to all targets. The cannon is powered by, destructive range and anger given explosive force. A Butcher is the Larry. No, Butcher. No, the Butcher, you see, he's like a serial killer, he's like a cannibal, okay? He also came to rule over the killer clowns, okay? And Dark Shovel, he's basically like Jeff Bezos, if Jeff Bezos was a supervillain and, also a game dev. Alright, yeah. Also, Dark Shovel's company is, Evil Arts, which is basically inspired by EA. Yeah, of course, it's, the initials are EA. Nobody likes EA, man. Not even the great Indumati Eveningnight. Get wrecked, EA. Alright. Nah, that's enough. I think I am succumbing to the great evil of hatred myself. Alright now, entity number 7, this is Ari Man, the great evil of lies and deceit. Oh yeah, this entity resembles an amalgamate of newspaper, rag tabloids, computer and television technology, such as screens and cameras, and resembles a humanoid puppet. And its main head has a big mouth there with a red bloody lips cut into a big wide smile with a devious smile resembling a Joker that opens up to reveal a giant glowing red eyeball. Oh no. It was created by Lilith using darkness from, the outer darkness of Earth's reality, namely humanity's deceit and pretense towards good and their malicious lies and accusations that they tell to destroy lives of others. Particularly when deceit and propaganda becomes a system that can lead people to fight and die and kill under false pretenses and lies told to people that led them to do it and to carry it out. In education, history, politics, and religion. After all, lies and deceit led to the manipulation, and the manipulation led people to do all sorts of terrible things, to hate each other, to treat each other cruelly, coldly, with contempt, and led so many to conflicts while praising the very darkness that spread it and wanted to spread it maliciously and for its own benefit in the first place. Because people tend to herd and follow whoever's in charge and whoever sounds good and whoever yells the loudest. Well, it makes them easy targets for, airy men. And can ruin all kinds of lives, no? Its mystic art is distorting noise, which deals darkness, sound element damage, and inflicts confusion and is powered by malicious lies and accusations. Turns into... Whoa. Hey, come on now. Come on now, please. Please stop pressing the run button, please. Alright now. Alright, malicious lies and accusations turn into a negative psychic force that affects the mind, yeah. With lies and slander. A bit like what Indumati and you guys do when, you call me cute and soon and, adorable. Lord Yeda Bunny. I am not an Indorita and I am not a second brat. Stop, telling lies. Stop telling lies while talking about Harry, man. Arimon's literally it's a great evil if lies and deceit, and you guys are engaging in lies and deceit. I am not a second brat. I am not cute. I am not a tsundere. Stop calling me a tsundere. I am not a tsundere. That's a bunch of lies from you. That's a bunch of lies. Alright, I am not soon. No. I am not soon and not cute. Stop telling lies. Stop telling these malicious lies. I literally just described how lies are, evil and bad for society. Yeah, after all, we live in a society, yeah. As Ariman would probably say, yeah. Since, he's basically a giant, mechanism that's, inspired by mass media. Especially Fox News. Excuse me. Entity number 8, Judge Minter. Now, this is a guy you're not gonna love because, he's the great evil of, the most vile and, heinous sin, yet. Hypocrisy. Imagine being a hypocrite, yeah. This creature looks like a faceless, tall, ghost-like shade of a judge dressed in a long, dull gray cloak, and, and it has a powdered cloak on, and, carries a massive gavel that is stained with blood and has dark wings, like a brilliant angel like that fracture into glass and, color behind it. It is made for the knowledge of Earth Art's hypocrisy, and the cruel deceit, and... Alright, now, hold on for just a minute. And cruelty, deceit, exploitation, and greed that resulted from the corruption and lust for power of the self-righteous and self-serving. It pretend to, stand for morals and principles and values while carrying out and wanting the oppression and legal, political, and religious sense as well as, personal sense. I might as well add that there. Yeah, I know it's not there, originally in the text, but, I'll add it there. After all, it convinces people that it is virtuous to stand above others as the elite and beat down evil and crush it under its heel in every aspect of life while, practicing the very evils they condemn against any and all things and people and their cultures, their works, their practices, their differences, and even superficial and benign ones. Now, all those things must be evil for not being virtue. And also this, this guy promotes superstition, prejudice as righteousness and as divine guidance and wants it to be policy for power. After all, the virtuous should make this world a heaven over the weak, vulgar, licentious crowd and purify it of all its evils, no? As such, it is a cruel and despotic being that believes that it is the law over every infraction of mankind, and its sentence is always death. Excusing itself over more serious and heinous activity, and even worse, it preaches moral and ethics, but not because it preaches morals and ethics not because it cares, but to weaponize it and to make them into weapons to control and abuse and manipulate and shame others, and use guilt as a weapon against them. Yeah, it's kind of weaponizing virtue, and that's not good. Yeah, that's basically manipulation from especially self-righteous people. Yeah, in real life. Yeah, I've definitely experienced some of that, so that's kind of what I'm putting here. Yeah. Alright, now its Mystic Art Retribution crushes with a Mighty Light Elements attack that deals 3/4 of the HP of damage. It also casts Judgment. Alright, now. It also casts Judgment following its turn to heal a little bit before, but the target will die in a turn following the heal. Its final move, Condemnation, will seal magic arts as an AoE as a status move as Dark and Metal Elements. Alright now, alright now, nobody likes hypocrisy now. Why have violence? Why have violence for bad reasons? Just have violence for violence sake. That's what I say, especially between friends. No. Alright now. So I got an elf suit. Alright now, I'm going to cover it in Christmas ornaments and take pictures in front of people's Christmas displays like a cryptid. No. I mean, if you can't cast fireball on your friends, who can you cast fireball on? You shouldn't cast fireball on your friends, but Mr. Foam, you shouldn't cast fireball on your friends. No. Please don't do that. That's not nice. That's not nice. That's mean. That's meanie pants behavior. We don't like that. All right. Now we do not promote shooting each other with fireballs in dreams. Yeah. Especially your friends, yeah. After all, we magical girls stand for, love and friendship and, all that. Alright, shall we get to Entity 9 now? Alright, the Garbage King. Alright, I'm the trash man. I eat garbage. Hey, that reminds me of pretty much how I started, Kingdoms of the Dump. Alright, this thing is called the Great Evil of Waste. The Great Evil is a large, monstrous living mire of muck, oil, and sludge, waste, and grime filled with, rotted and fallen empires and things that were once shiny and seen as good but broken remains of empires and ideologies abandoned and forgotten in favor of self-interest, or because of the rot of corruption that, came to inhabit them. And dreams that were never fulfilled or were broken, this creature has many hands coming from it, and has a rather large monstrous eldritch appearance with, eyes and, mouths leading into a massive dark maw that has the deepest, darkest shadow in it, with a couple of little eyes gleaming inside of it with malicious intent deep inside of it. It was created by Lilith and Earthar's That's created by Lilith from Earthar's, Waste and Excess, as well as its waste of a system that chews up dreams and people and even their own gods and spits them out when they're done, and also the mental fog and weight of the oppressive regimes and environments that weigh people down so much that they obtained learned helplessness into despair and were prevented from accomplishing their dreams or doing great things in favor of barely scraping by and surviving until they and their dreams and goals rotted away. Basically, they died, basically, yeah. Basically, it's a system of, oppression and exploitation, yeah. Treating people, as basically disposable. sort of like, reusable plastics, really. Which is a miserable way to, treat people, but that's, the system, basically. Which, is very, very heavily promoted, by the Great Evil, Great and Avarice, frickin' Mammon. Anyway, the Garbage King's Mystic Art is, Misery Mire, which pulls in all enemies, inflicting water poison and metal damage while inflicting slow and randomly sealing the use of a command and inflicting despair. Oh, no, that's not good. Oh, no, that's not good. Alright, now, that sounds like the classic American business model. Also known as a good business model. You're describing a good business model. Foam. Foam. Look here, look, listen. No. No, 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 no. 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 Bad. Bad. Bad skeleton. Bad skeleton. Bad skeleton. Ban. 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 Don't make me come over there and step on you. Bad. 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 Yeah, Chatter's being naughty tonight. Chatter's full of naughty people tonight, which, is pretty much the usual. Alright, now we have Entity F. The F stands for Fusion, yeah. Sir like Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, now this is Dystopian Overlord, the great evil of despair. I bring you despair! Alright, now that we got the one-liners from Sephiroth out of the way, this entity is made from the malicious enemy of of entities 1 through 9's forms and powers, and was given Entity Zero's power as a core. It resembles an eldritch, confusing, godlike being of shared fragments of, Entity 1 through 9's various physical forms, and was made by Lilith as her last resort should her greatest creations lose, to make them into one singular force of ultimate evil that was made using the despair and torpor of all the previous entities and their powers caused by, caused throughout all the realities of Earth I, as well as Earth R, in both the imaginary and real spaces, as the power of evil drags all into the hellish despair, as it triumphs over the world in its various forms to destroy lives and leading many into a red haze of violence filled with, deceit, madness, and cruelty. When all the powers of evil they represent brought forth all the evils they represent brought forth push people to and forced bred and led others to do, because the system became system after system after system that grinded and crushed some, broke others, corrupted many, and ruled with an iron fist that in a united evil against good, and overall of creation that lays burned and killed and broken as empires fall, rise, fight, and go mad. As people struggle and oppress, as zealots declare their righteousness while practicing evil, and leading others to do the same. As it becomes not just policy and law and religion and history and philosophy, but an unyielding absolute dark reality, while cruelty rules over all and drives everything into despair and madness. As the last one who dares to oppose it at last, as the last one who dares to as the last one who opposes it all falls to at last. Its mystic art is dystopian world order, which deals, heavy, dark physical damage and can inflict multiple random status ailments on all targets, which is powered by and a testament to the cruel power of evil that led the world to the blink of Rune. It rules like a cruel tyrant. Alright, yeah. As a matter of fact, him and self-loathing spends a lot of time hanging out with me. Unlike peace and prosperity, despair is a friend of mine. Foam, stop being a naughty little skeleton. Naughty foam. Naughty skeleton. Naughty skeleton. I'm so glad to have you here now. Thank you. Alright, now let's get on to the next entity, shall we? Alright, this one's gonna be fun. Alright, Entity C, what stands for corruption. Alright, the seed of evil. The seed of evil in the collective unconscious. This is the great evil of corruption, yeah. Alright, now, let me rest for a little bit, yeah. Alright, this entity in Earth-I's reality was created after the Box of Evils incident, in which some of the wicked and proud among the former gods, who used to rule the world before their demise at the hands of, the first Dark Lord Arachne, in which when the Box of Evils was opened, the Box of Evils, the great evils would infect all of humanity and their creations, the tulpas, and all the worlds created by the force of imagination and tulpamancy as a result, and becoming the creation of corruption, a seed of evil that would take up shape in a distorted, twisted. A seed of evil that would take on the shape of, a distorted, twisted dryad child that resembles a dark, twisted eldritch apple tree with glowing red, sinister fruits, with eyes on them and a decayed look and a manic smile on its dryad face. Alright, give me a moment. It's like a child that doesn't know any better, but to harm and to corrupt and to destroy and think it's a fun game. In fact, it's worse. It is a child whose very mind and heart are twisted in a way by the very corruption that formed and commanded it and grows in every heart, every mind, and infests every work, even for good and even humanity's creations due to the corruption of bug and error. People's reason is clouded, their worst flaws gain power, and the madness pours out into reality in various ways, all born from the corruption, the contamination of all the great evils and their curse unleashed by divine lies that took things in prison to once keep the world safe. Yeah, the great evils were originally in prison that basically keep the rest of the universe safe, yeah. And also, obviously, to defeat them, yeah. That were deliberately unleashed by lies and hatred, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the reason that, that Neos of Darkness basically did all that. With the box of evils. Alright now. Alright now, because of this rot... Alright now. Because of this rot, this corruption, the consecration, all the results, all the evil, all the hearts that it turned sour inside and wanted not to be an executioner but to save. The corruption of this nature produces and empowers monsters and breeds monstrosities born of the human heart, and cannot see it for what it is and thinks it's justified, deserved, fun, profitable, as something that makes it proud on the inside even. But the call is not for extermination as the Muse of Darkness and her followers. It brought forth as being, by the Box of Evils incident wanted, and pushed for on the daily. Yeah, because that's basically their end goal, basically. But for mercy and compassion in the face of the darkest evils. Yeah, by the goddess of creation's, standards, yeah. And that's basically, the mission that Indumati, has to deal with this guy, yeah. Alright, now, the Seed of Evil's ultimate art, Diabolic Temptation, spawns a fruit which causes confusion and deadly poison and leaves all enemies at 1 HP. And to defeat this enemy, it must be purified and treated rather than attacked or destroyed, as it will only worsen the corruption. Alright now, let's see what everybody's saying. Evil rules. Also known as a guy I hire in my advertising department. What? No. No, in fact, him self-loathing is allowed to... Alright now. No. Alright now. Evil does not rule. Good. Alright now. Good rules, evil rules. Just face the reality of that. I, Indumati, Eveningnight, have spoken. Alright now, let's get on to the next entity, shall we? And this is, the big bad final boss herself, frickin' Lilith. The great evil of fear. Yeah, we gotta, say it in the most dramatic way possible. Alright now, Alright, this evil is a creation of the evil outer-versal entity Scrawler and is a major overarching villain of the lore and all its realities, and many meaning evils are linked to it and its creations, and its vessel Eveningnight and her organization Red Moon. You probably already know that, though. She appears as an amalgamate of all the fears and phobias of mankind, especially their greatest fears such as war and death and famine and suffering and oppression, as well as the things such as the fear of the unknown and all their lesser fears given physical form. It is the antithesis of the goddess of creation, and represents fear over imagination, and all the great and minor evils inspire so much through both Earth Eye and Earth R, and what it leads people to become and be led into doing under her children's power. She is known as the Mother of Evil and the Queen of Darkness, hence her name being that of a mythological demon. She seeks to plunge all realities into the grip of fear and has the power to distort reality and the imagination and into worlds of fear and darkness. Darkness! She was sealed long ago during the Dark Age when Scrawler made his move against the universe. Okay, come on, please. and First Matron was imprisoned in the Red Moon by the goddess of creation, and the keys to seal her way were scattered in the hopes that she would never ever become reawakened. But Eveningnight would not only defeat the goddess and gather the keys and seal the world canvases, that act as a creation. That act as the creation of each reality in order to chain them to Lilith for Red Moon's, own goals, for their own goal of, their hellish paradise coming true. Yeah, basically the reason, Eveningnight, stole the world canvases in the first place is because she's basically, painting over them and distorting them to basically turn, each of the realities into different, nightmare worlds, so, not, because she basically promised that all her servants would basically, rule over them. Yeah, so basically, yeah. Yeah, and, let's, alright now, where was I, yeah. But Eveningnight would defeat the goddess and gather the keys and seal the word canvases, and as that act as a creation of each reality in order to chain them to Lilith for Great Moon's own goal of a hellish paradise coming true, but would awaken her, and it would be the greatest battle of all Earth I would ever know. Would ever know that they could only truly stop with the power of silver, the power from Earth's reality. From across the boundaries of the universe, her mystic. Alright, now, Lilith's, mystic art, nuclear nightmare of hellfire, is based on the idea that every person who dreams up the electric light. It's based on the idea that every person who dreams up the electric light bulb, for every person that dreams up the electric light bulb, there will always be another person who dreams up the atomic bomb, including the sum of all fears of humanity that can result in the end of the world and the age due to their own evil. Lilith in this world represents not just the sum of all fears, but all fears, every flinch from abuse of any sort, every invisible chain and weights of oppression that fills the world with dread, every cruel word and bigot sneer that leads to prejudice and persecution becoming policy and defying mandate, every fear and panic caused by both propaganda and by the terror of bloody, violent conflicts that darken the world, every oppressive and harsh rule of every tyrant, every nightmare does like a mirror of trauma and pain on restless nights and in the hearts of man that seeks to swallow hope and light of this world, and every bit of terror by those who profit from moral panic and crusades, and every minor terror that gets claimed to lurk in each corner, and every minor terror that is claimed to lurk in each corner like the shadows of Plato's cave and even more. She comes from and is powered by it all, and seeks to hold each mind, each dream, each heart, and all life mentally, emotionally, and physically captive to the terror of night and day, both real or not. Oh yeah, and this, also nightmare of nuclear hellfire. Yeah, inflicts heavy, dark, poison, and fire damage, and also inflicts fear, despair, confusion, and rage as possible ailments. Basically at random. Alright now. Alright. Also, everyone in my backstory and my storyline is evil. My character is evil. His benefactor is evil. His enemies is evil. We're all evil. That's just confusing that way. No. Well, I mean, that's from Swordsman, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not true if you know my lore, yeah. There are indeed, good guys in my lore. Alright, now, hold on for just a minute. Hold on for just a little minute, okay? I promise I will get to the final, of the Great Evil soon. Alright, this next one is gonna be the guy that basically made Lilith and, basically burnt all the Great Evils, and it's basically, and it's basically the guy, that's basically responsible for everything, that's wrong in Indumati's lore and all the realities of Earth I. Yeah, his name is Crawler. He's the maker of the Great Evils, and he is the great evil of destruction. Beyond the outer darkness is a realm where powerful beings that, while very average in their world with no real special abilities like the beings of Earth I, are still the dominant life form of their world, and they have the ability to affect the imaginary space which which Earth-I is just one possible imaginary space out of an infinite number of possible worlds made by any such creature at any given time, and they can, if they so choose, bring good or evil, or both or neither. Scroller is Scroller is one who brought evil. The reason that, Scroller brought evil, he was the younger brother of a person who made Earth-I's reality, and had been heavily favored by his parents to the point of the abuse and neglect of his older brother. Now, while Scroller himself would constantly lie, frame his brother for his own wrongdoings, and then get his brother into trouble and hurt them and harass them and break their things and steal their things, and then even dominate their older brother at the creator's birthday parties to the point that their older brother had to share gifts and had their cakes, had to have cakes their brother liked in parties. Oh yeah. Yeah, and also Scroller, had to basically control all the gift. Basically, you had to force the creator to share gifts, and they basically also made the creator have the cakes that they liked, and have the parties that they like. Yeah. This came to a head one night when the creator's 18th birthday would roll around. All right, now where the damage and spoiled nature of Scroller would be revealed, as well as the favoritism of their parents. The creator was able, because of this, to escape to their grandmother's out. To escape due to their grandparents, and all right, now the creator was able to escape all right, now come on, please stop getting so tight. Yeah, the creator was able to escape this because because of their grandparents' aid, to become a successful artist and novelist. While Scar would go on to eventually be kicked out for his abusive behavior, towards his own parents, and would go on to cause the incident what would result in a dark age of Earth-I's reality, in which they broke into the studio of their brother, the creator, and used one of their brother's red pens to create Lilith, and would deface and destroy some of the work's notes, in which the creator thankfully was able to fix his creation with the creation of the goddess of creation, in order to repair Earth-I using her abilities as his avatar. While Scroller would be jailed, but the damage would be done. Scroller and Earth-I had become a symbol of the destructive instincts of humanity to create things for harm and destruction of other humans, as well as the instinct to vandalize and destroy things that were not their own, and corrupt good things, and the good nature with the creation of the 9 great evils and their mother and commander, as well, Lilith, as well as being the source point of the seed of evil. Scroller to Earth-I seems like something unfathomably powerful, like a god that cannot be fully understood or comprehended, much like the creator. Scroller can only see and interact with part of it. That leaves an impression on Earth-I's world. They can, however, however, the beings of Earth-I can basically see it as a hand in space that carries a red pen that is used to vandalize their world and create Lilith and her brood. Alright, now, its mystic art is, calamitous creation, in which it censors the world in red bloody print strokes to deal physical dark damage, and brings forth copies of the previous villains fought so far, which won't be as powerful due to being quick shadows of their power, due to not having too much playing time to make them fleshed out and all that. As Scroller's HP gets lower, he can spawn two or even three of these creations, symbolic of both his vandalism of Earth-I, and also of humanity's instinct to create calamitous and ruinous things to push them towards harm, corruption, and destruction. Alright, now, Alright now. Oh wow, alright now. Alright, that basically covers all the great evils, basically, yeah. Alright now, whoa. Look at the time, yeah. Alright, I should probably look for somebody to raid, wait, I should probably, change the screen, shouldn't I? Alright, let me change the screen real quick. I really need to, get a break back. I really need to get an end screen and start screen and, be right back screen, someday. I think I should have Sanctum make that, though. Alright, let's see who's on. Oh, alright now. Alright, how about we raid Riona? Alright, now, let's go. Let's raid Riona _ By the way, thank you all of you for showing up for this. I really appreciate it, It gave me time to, yap, 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 yap. Which was very fun. Thank you and good night. Alright, now, remember today's raid message is Moonbat Raid, and, please join in the raid, yeah. You will get bonus points for the channel. Also, I'm pretty sure Rihanna will, appreciate it too. Alright, now. Alright, now, let's do the raid message. Moonbat Raid. Alright, now, goodbye.